this valve here, this is a crankcase ventilation valve. This, as the engine runs and you screw the grease caps in, a little bit of oil from the oiler and a bit of fuel mix and all that ends up in the bottom of your sump. So this evacuates it out the back, and this fella here did have water coming out of it this morning, so we'll pop that. Actually, I'll do that now while we got the camera rolling. I might even try and get the spanner of the right size, Lance. God, it is hard to get good help. So, the old square nuts, eh? Love that stuff. So, square head, I probably should make some of those. Back years ago, I loved making engine parts. I did a lot more engines. Because I fixed tractors for a living all the time, I used the vintage stationary engines as a hobby. I was still mechanicking, but I wasn't working on tractors, so. That should have a little valve in there. So that's just open. Yeah. You see this nice smooth seat here. And there's a little spring should be in there. So I'll have to have a look at that. And the idea is when the piston come back, it pressurised the crankcase a little bit. But how'd that work? Yeah, the air come in here from the crankcase. It just pushed the little disc off the seat, and that let a little bit of rubbish come down through and drain out. So it wasn't open all the time, sucking dust and that in. But just let it out. So, all right, looks like I've got another little job to do there, but I'll take this over the parts wash and tidy it up. And just for interest's sake, this has engine written on that piece on the top bit there. I think it's even got top there too. You must think I'm a dumb bastard. Right, I'm not going to argue about that. I might be right. Okay, I'll go and wash this up, and yeah, I'll see. I might cut the video here, and this is just the pull apart bit, just so it doesn't drag on too long. Okay, I'm not sure where I got up to before I went away and drew some gaskets and mucked around, but this was our spare parts crankcase ventilation valve. Now, this one from memory, you know, had no guts in it, and I had a spare one here, and I thought, oh, well, look, I'll pop that apart and see how we go. But the spring is in here. I found a little piece of the spring. It's a very light wire spring, and what there is of it. And the valve in here, it has a very rough surface on it. And that very rough surface is supposed to sort of seal over here. And I decided that was just too pitted and that to bugger around with. So I went up to the milling machine, and I'll wipe my bench clean. I went up to the milling machine and I got all excited, and I made a new one. So you can see that's a nice finish on it. There is a little bit of a line there where the parting tool bit in a bit, but that's okay. That'll be neither here nor there, and that can seal down there, no worries at all. And you can see there's little lines where they machined it originally here, so I'm presuming it's not that important that this seal's really airtight. I think it's just probably to keep a bit of junk from sucking back in. When the engine's on the ground there and the piston pushes back out, it gives you crankcase ventilation, but when it sucks in, this valve will shut and not let any rubbish in there. I presume. I may be wrong with that. We'll just have to see, I suppose. So the little spring, I found this little spring. This is a leftover out of our Ferguson TEA 20 inlet valve, and it sits over the little tag in there nicely. We can get it sitting there nice and square, just sits over the little tit, and this plate could sit in there. So that's just above, let me put this top on, that's just above the top. You can see There's a little bit of tension there. I don't believe you have to have a lot of tension, it's just a light spring. I don't know what tension I've got there, but it won't matter. And then this fella here, I think the bolts are on the top and the nuts are on the bottom. That'd be right? I can't remember now, but that's how I'm going to put it together. Looks like he's had a bit of a grind on that nut. Is that going to start? Doesn't feel like it wants to start. Hang on, I'll have a little gin around here. Ginning around something I'm good at. And here we go. Look at that. And I'll try and get this one started properly. Cross thread's just not the go, is it? There we go. Obviously this doesn't need a gasket or anything. It's open to the air pressure out here. Which spanner's which? Okay, so that there, we should be able to pop that down maybe. Oh yes, you can feel that. Bit of spring tension there. Okay, look, I think that'll be good enough for that.